It's time for the Las Vegas Sportsline. Brought to you by the Westgate Las Vegas, home of the world's largest race and sportsbook and the Super Contest.
Money won is twice as sweet as money earned.
Presented by WagerTalk.com.
And here we go. It is the Tuesday edition of the Las Vegas Sportsline. I'm Dave Cokin. Glad to have you with us for the next hour as we take a look at the sports world through the eyes of Las Vegas. Marco DAngelo is here from WagerTalk. Jeff Sherman will be along from the Superbook in just a little bit. Good stuff. Good stuff coming up after a great weekend of action. Got a big golf tournament this week, another big one, baseball. We're heading now to the trade deadline, only a week away from the hard deadline. So going to see a lot of movement in the next several days. And we're counting down the days to the official opening of NFL training camp. It's almost here. Hard Knocks will be with us shortly. Exhibition football will be with us shortly. Marco, our vacation time is rapidly drawing to a close.
Yeah, very quick, Dave, unfortunately, and I'm trying to still get that trip into Del Mar before the summer's over, but football's around the corner, and that's what we get excited about, no question about that.
Minnesota Twins fans got excited last night for what Mitch Garver did. He was the star of the night.
It's the Las Vegas Sportsline's Star of the Night.
Down the left field line, it's deep to the corner. Gone, a home run! The fourth home run against Sabathia.
Here's Garver to bat. Garver homered his last time up.
Deep down the line again. Garver has another.
Mitch Garver has had quite a year for the Twins, hitting around 300. He's got like 16 home runs. This is a guy that nobody even basically knew about. He was a part-time catcher last year for the Twins. Showed a little offense, but nothing like this. And he's been one of the most valuable players on that team.
Yeah, that whole team, Dave, they've been scoring runs. They had a little bit of a slump, but last two games they're back scoring runs. And when they're scoring like that, this team is dangerous for sure.
And we'll do a little tease because later on we will be talking with about our WagerTalk Marquee matchup of the night. It will be round 2 between the Yankees and Twins, with the Twins capturing the opener last night, 8-6 the final score. Not a single Monday MLB game stayed under the number as this wacky season continues. Just some awful bullpen melts again last night, and this is why I've said all year, basically since April, if you're going to play unders, play the first 5. You do not want to be playing 9-inning unders. You're just going to lose more of them than you win in terms of games that get away. In other words, a first 5 under ticket that becomes a full game over ticket. If you're going to play under, to me, you play the first 5.
No question, Dave. And, my condolences to anybody that had the St. Louis-Pittsburgh game under 9.5 last night, Dave. 2-2.
Yep. Going
to extra innings. How could you possibly lose that underplay?
And if you had the Cardinals, I think if they get a call right, you maybe don't win the game. Cardinals get 4 in the top of the 10th, take a 6-2 lead. Pirates come back with 3, and they get a runner thrown out at the plate. And I didn't have any action in the game, so this is a completely unbiased, nonpartisan viewpoint. That guy was safe. I think I know it was close, but
it was a bang play, yeah. No question. But again, though, if you had the under, you got to be kicking yourself. But going back to the value, as you said, with the first 5 innings going under, because the market is going the way it is, Vegas is they're finally adjusting and making these totals higher than they normally should be. Which what ends up giving it to you is giving you more value in that first 5 because they're basically, chopping the line in half for you, and you're getting the so-called better pitchers, obviously the starters, in the first 5, not dealing with the bullpen. So there is plus EV if you're taking the first 5 under. But I'll tell you, Dave, even this season, you got anytime you take an under, you're holding your breath in every single game.
You really are. It's basically never easy. Let's open up the action for tonight. Speaking of the Cardinals and Pirates, they're in the leadoff spot as we head to the Tuesday MJ Christensen Diamonds 4-4.
1, 2, 3 into the 4.
Put the 4s up. Put the 4s up, I said. Do it right now.
Tonight's action is just around the bend, and the guys want to get your night off to a great start.
4.
It's the Las Vegas Sports Lines 4 at 4.
Not 1, What for?
Unbelievable.
And we do start it off in Pittsburgh, Marco's hometown, as the Pirates play host to the Cardinals. Dakota Hudson on the mound for the St. Louis side, and Chris Archer will be on the hill for the Pirates. Now, the Cardinals are 10-1 in the last 11 starts for Dakota Hudson, and that's certainly going to get the attention of some bettors. But there are some red flags on Hudson. The two that stand out, one is his control has not been very good. The second is that this is an extreme ground ball pitcher. He's been actually above 60% ground balls on batted balls in play for the season. And he needs to be, because when he starts getting launched, fly balls go out of the park on him. He's got a very high home run to fly ball rate. He's been below his season average in ground balls in each of the last 4 starts, and he's been really off in 2 of those starts. So I think there's some sell signs on Dakota Hudson. Chris Archer, he's been getting better the first 2 times through the order. He still can't pitch 3 times through the order, and I don't understand why Clint Hurdle hasn't been able to figure this. Does he not have statistical? He's got an 8.18 ERA, 3rd time through the lineup. Get him out of there after 5 innings. Don't wait for bad things to happen. Just get him out of there.
And he's gone the last 2 outings, Dave. He's put 2 good efforts after a month of really struggling. What I like with him, he's allowed 3 runs each in the last 2. He's gone 6 innings, but his strikeout to walk ratio
better,
18-4 right now. Where on the flip side, you talked about Dakota Hudson's control problems. His strikeout to walk ratio in his last 16 innings of work, Dave, 14-9. Yeah. Not good. You can't give 9 free passes and get away with it the way he has. Give you a little stat on the Pirates. I think the buy sign is on Archer. Last night they played a sloppy game, Dave. They had 3 errors in the game last night. When they've had a game, following a game where they've had 3 errors or more the last 2 seasons, they are 10-2 the next game out. So they shore things up. I'm going to go ahead and take Pittsburgh. If you're looking at the total, here's a little stat on the Pirates. When the total is 8.5 or more at home this season, the Pirates are 20-5 to the over. And it got there last night. Again, it was ugly the way it did, but it cashed another ticket. I'm on Pittsburgh tonight.
Padres and Mets will match up. Chris Paddock, the hard-throwing right-hander on the mound for San Diego. He's an impressive rookie, no question about that. On the flip side is his polar opposite. Soft-tossing, grizzled southpaw veteran Jason Vargas. And yet, when you look at Vargas' numbers in his home games this year, he's been very good. He's able to work that changeup and get good results. I mean, Paddock deserves to be favored in the game. He's just a better pitcher at this point. But Vargas is one of those guys who doesn't get respected by the market, but has actually produced a profit, if you want to call it that, for the Mets.
Absolutely, Dave. And you talk about Paddock. He had a couple outings where it looked like maybe he was going to run into that midseason roadblock with a young pitcher, but he has rebounded nicely. His last couple games, Dave, he has been back to that dominant start that we saw at the beginning of the season. How about an ERA of 0.93 and a whip of 0.46 in his last 3 starts? You look at that, and then you go, he's only faced the Mets once, and that was back early in May. So, again, we always talk about, first time around the league, only facing him once, and that was early in the season. I still give him the edge there. You talk about Vargas's home numbers, Dave. It's amazing, his home-road dichotomy. Yeah. 2.16 ERA at home, whip of 1.14. I can't back Vargas, but I'm not going to go full gun on Paddock. Where I am going to go in this game, Dave, I like the under in this one. The Mets are returning from that road trip on the West Coast, and here's an interesting start, and it goes to Vargas's dominance at home. Last 2 seasons, when he pitches at home, they're 12-1 to the under, the Mets. And the Mets have been an over team in general, so that tells you how well he's pitched whenever he's been on the mound.
Trevor Bauer is still with the Cleveland Indians, and I suspect he's going to remain with the Cleveland Indians. There were a lot of talk about him possibly being moved at the deadline, but things have changed for the Indians. They're now only 3 games out of first place in the American League Central. They look like a team that's got a good chance to make the playoffs, and you don't trade away what could be your best starter if you have a chance to get to the playoffs, and who knows what happens at that point. Bauer will go tonight against the Blue Jays, and Aaron Sanchez, who has a rather unfortunate streak going. In his last 11 starts, The Blue Jays have lost every one of those starts. They're 0-11. Contrast that with Bauer. The Indians are 7-1 in his last 8 starts. Bauer, a good road pitcher. I mean, the market's pounding Cleveland, and I can't blame him. I'm not a runs line devotee, but if somebody says, hey, I'm taking Indians runs line, I'm not going to try and talk them out of it.
No, especially being on the road. So at least you're going to get your full 9 at bats. So that's a big edge as well. And you talk about Cleveland, Dave. They're playing their best baseball of the season. 8-1 the last 9. The bats have woken up, and they've actually been getting some good bullpen work as well, which was the big problem early in the season. You talk about Bauer. My God. In his last 19 2/3 innings of work, Dave, he's got 30 strikeouts. I mean, he is dealing it right now. And you talk about Sanchez, 11 straight losses for the Blue Jays when he's been on the mound. For the season, they've lost 16 of 21 of his starts. And against right-handers this season, Toronto just 22-43. There's only one way to go in this game, and that's the Indians.
And there's actually a few marquee matchups tonight. Yep. We saved the Twins and Yankees, or Yankees at Twins, if you will, for the official marquee matchup. But this one could be Red Sox and Rays, a big game down at the Slop in Tampa, or in Clearwater, St. Petersburg, actually, wherever the hell it is. Chris Sale and Yanni Chirinos going here. And if you just, I talked about this on First Pitch this morning, if you just put some cardboard or something over the names and look at the stats, they're basically the same.
Yeah.
There's almost nothing to choose between these two pitchers. So this is a reputational number on the Boston Red Sox, being about $1.60 favorite. Value here to me is clearly with the Rays. I didn't play it because I don't like the way the Rays are playing right now. And now Yandy Diaz is back on the disabled list. That could be a problem against the lefty. They did activate, what's his name, the third baseman who's like the guy's always hurt. I'm blanking on his name. Matt Duffy. No. So he'll, if he lasts the entire game, it'll be like reason for a parade. Nobody gets hurt like Matt Duffy. Ryan Zimmerman thinks Matt Duffy has a tough time staying healthy. Anyway, I think the value's with Tampa, but I didn't play it.
Yeah, Dave, and the thing about Tampa, it was 1 week ago today when we were talking, it was actually our marquee matchup, Yankees in Tampa Bay, and we said, if the Rays come back and win the division, we're going to circle July 15th as the turning point for their season, because that was the game, the big 4-game series in New York, where they scored 3 in the top of the ninth, 2 outs, 2 strikes, and got the win. And then they turn around and lose the next 3, and they haven't been the same since that, Dave. They're 1-6 since that come from behind victory.
And the bullpen is going really bad.
And that's what's been their strong suit over the season. And you got to wonder, Dave, do you think a little bit of using, Tampa's been the team that was the, the poster child for using the opener.
They've stopped using the opener.
Yeah.
And I think that is a direct result of the fact that the bullpen's starting to wear out.
Absolutely. So, now we're seeing the residual effects of that. But I can't lay this price with Chris Sale. I know he had a dominating start last time out, Dave, but I look at his whole season in general, and I can't do it. It's Tampa or you pass it. And strange stat, this season on Tuesdays when Sale was pitched, Red Sox are 0-5.
Jeff Sherman is the vice president of risk management and a top odds maker with Superbook USA, and he joins us every Tuesday at this time. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Excellent. How's it going, guys?
Very good. A reminder, you can follow Jeff on Golf Odds, at Golf Odds on Twitter. Loads of great information, much of which we're going to talk about today. But before we get to a lot of the futures, let's start with the weekend that was in a British Open that all I can say is this, or Open Championship, whatever you want to call it. If the weather had been what it was on Sunday, for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I don't think anybody would have broken par. That was absolute carnage on Sunday. But one guy who handled it was Shane Lowry, and he is the Open champion.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he did. I mean, even through the whole Saturday, too, into Sunday, he just held it together, and he made it look relatively easy compared to everybody else. I mean, out of the gate, some of his competitors really struggled. You saw Koepka go backwards right away with a few bogeys, and they had a tough time of it. But he really held it together and had some nice approach shots and some makeable putts, and just kept that margin and what really wasn't threatened.
I'm sure there were a few scattered Lowry tickets, but let's face it, he wasn't one of the popular betting options going in, at least as far as the outrights are concerned. So